Okay, so I've got a lovely looking little quad here. I do like these little ones. I like the big quads as well, but I like these little tiny ones. And this is just so lightweight. Actually, I'm just going to start off with the weight. I haven't actually weighed it myself yet, so let's just have a quick look, see what we got. It's coming in at 32 grams. Woohoo! Steady on with that. I'm going to have to strengthen this table before I finish this review. Little brushless motors, awesome looking thing. I've flown a couple of these, small ones like this, sorry, not this actual one. And they are just great fun. Brilliant little FPV flyers. I like them a lot. This one comes with an Omnibus F3 flight controller and basically everything sort of built into there. The ESCs and everything. Comes fully loaded with Betaflight 3.2.0, so we should all be ready to go. I'll probably just have to set the switches, that'll be all for arming, etc. It's like I say, a really nice looking frame and everything. The actual frame, I've already measured that as 1.5 millimeters, and that's the upper frame and the main frame as well, and obviously got these metal standoffs as well. It just really nicely put together. You can see a buzzer nicely tucked inside there underneath, and you've got VTX on the front as well. So the VTX is actually 600 TVL, and it's a 1/3 inch CCD in there, and it's HD, 120 degrees field of view, so that should be quite nice, and it's 25 milliwatt. I don't think you can alter this one. 25 to me is absolutely fine, especially on the small ones. I don't see why you'd need much bigger. And around my garden, even the other side of the house, I've never had trouble with a 25 milliwatt. The motors are 0705s and they're 10,000 kVs. So they should give a little bit of punch. Should be just damn good fun. What you get in the box is this, 32 grams of it, and this, which probably weighs more actually. You get 8 props, 3 elastic bands, and the little sort of sticky 3M sort of underneath that you stick on underneath, sorry, to hold your battery on, to stop it slip sliding away. So that's quite handy. But that is literally, you don't get any batteries, don't get any chargers or anything. So it's all down to you what you want to do. The blades, the props are actually 55 millimeters. And on the, I just went on the website just to check it out, and on GearBest website they say that it runs on 2 to 4S. Ha! Really worried about that, especially through this. 4S through there? Going to be messy, I think. It definitely says it's a 1S. I don't suppose the camera will pick it up, but actually down in there you can see 3.3 to 4.2 voltage is written down in there, and then you have got at the other end there you got the BLHeli, that 5 amp ESCs written there, and also the Omnibus F3 as well, but I don't expect the camera will pick that up, and believe me, it's there. And yeah, so everything's basically there ready to go. I'm going to go and bind it up to my transmitter, quickly run it through Betaflight and get out for a flight. Okay, I guess there's various ways of doing this, and I've struggled with it several times. When you want to bind your transmitter to your quad, to the receiver, you basically have to hold this button in here, which sort of, you get a tiny little click of when it goes in, and you can actually get this on this model. You can actually reach it with your finger, which is rather good. Then you've got to put the power on. So there's various ways of doing that. You can just hold it and then hopefully get it in. Oh, trust me, I actually did it that time. That was good. Normally you can't. Usually it fiddles around, or you just make contact and then it just pops out just as you're trying to bind, and usually it's a pain in the what's it. If you, of course you can't be holding that and everything. Hey, anyway, if you've tried it before you probably know how, and you've probably got a much better method than this, but the way I use, massive great clamp, totally over engineered, but this works on the XT30s, XT60 connectors, everything. I just literally hold it on like that, then that can't go anywhere at all. I simply press down on the bind button, then slide it in. It's not going to move when you do it, and there we are, and we should be all bound. Okay, so just going to quick run through Betaflight. I basically haven't changed anything, but just for those that want to have a look around. I've got the quad connected, as you can see there, and the ports were as they recommended. So you've got UART3 enabled, and this is literally how it came. So it was set up on D-Shot 600, and I think virtually everything else I've left the same. Yes, I have. And this was all set correctly as well, so S-Bus and everything, so it was pretty well set up, I think. All the beepers were all on, and onto the power and battery.
I did just alter this because I've actually put the higher voltage ones on. Whether or not you're supposed to, I don't know, but it's been running around with them quite happily, and I'll cover that in the summary at the end. And then PID tuning, this is as it came again, so I've just left it as is. I know some people tweak them, but I always like to fly it, and then if need be I'll have a hunt around, see whether there's anything that I need to change. But I'm not really that sort of techie on this bit, so it would have to be pretty drastic, or that I just wasn't enjoying the flight. Onto the receiver itself, and the only thing I think I did have to change this to TAER because I think it was set incorrectly, and then all the throttles, all the values all work and everything. I literally haven't played around at all. The only thing I did need to do was actually put the switches on, which is quite normal. I've got my arm in on auxiliary 1, so I have that on my top left on my Tyrannus. That's I always have it there. I have my right hand switch, which is on the main panel on the right hand side. I have that in angle, always at the top, and then horizon, and then if I go down I've got air mode on position 3, and then the one switch in from that on the right hand side, I have that as the beeper, and that's a 3-place rocker switch, and I just have it on the middle. And in my garden I find the beeper far more use than anything else, and this one doesn't have good LEDs at all. When it's very dark you can just about see them in the woods, but apart from that, no. And then onto the motor, they didn't alter anything here, and the OSD, obviously you just set that up to what you want. Main battery voltage, crosshairs, I keep diving in and out whether or not I want them, whether they're any good or not, the time of the craft name, and the flight mode. That's all I ever really have on, and that's me done. I didn't really change anything, but I know some people just like to have this as a reference point, and this is basically how it came, and this is how it's flying for me. So if it does help you, all well and good.
Okay, typical, get out to do my quick line of sight test, and it's started to spit with rain. Excellent, that'll be the Scottish Highlands then. So just going to give this a quick go. So it's going to be nice, I think, this thing's stabilised. Well, hopefully I've put some goggles on over there, so I'm going to record it. So. Whoa, this thing's going to be fun. Oh yeah, does it flip, man? Lovely. Yeah, this is going to be good. Oh, gee, I'm getting soaked. Yeah, lovely flips. So that's in stabilised. Whoa, that wind's really picking up. We've got a storm coming in, so I'm trying to get out here and do this now. So that's got us into horizon mode. Whoa, I'm really fighting against the wind now. Whoa, this thing's weird. Wait, it's got no LEDs that you can see. Orientation is really difficult. This wind isn't helping. There we go. So now I have no idea what way I'm facing. Oh, there we go. We're facing that way. That's good. I'll just pop it into acro as well. Air, sorry. Not brilliant at air in line of sight, but this is gonna be an awesome little piece of kit, I'm sure. Nice. I'm really not happy flipping it because honestly you can't see unless you keep it directly in the orientation. You honestly can't see where the heck it's going. LEDs on the back are useless, and it is as dark as anything at the moment. Whoop. Let's flick that back into stabilised. There we go. Oh, it's really chucking it down now. I'm going in. This thing is not built for this. And by this thing I mean this reviewer. Tiggers don't like wet, I've decided.
Okay, and off for my first little FPV run. Keep it in stabilised just to get a feel of it and everything. And instantly, you got up in the air and you just felt confident with this. It was nice and smooth. The feedback off the video was absolutely fine. It does look as though there's quite a bit of breakup on it, but I didn't actually notice it when I was flying at all. And I even take it the other side of the house, which is always a good test for signal. Yep, here we go. And that's quite a normal breakup. It's got some seriously thick walls in that old house of ours. So, and it just flew really nice, totally confident, and you could sort of stop it in the air as well and just do some very slow manoeuvres if you needed to, which was good. Up into air now, as you see, and just getting a bit of a feel for that, and it's just so precise. And there I did a quick test to see how tight I could turn it in and ease the power off. Now if I do that on the brushed ones, they'll drop, or I've had trouble with that. I haven't played around with any PIDs on this either, so this is just stock, so and that's the way I like to test them, to be honest. If I don't honestly think there is anything you'd need to alter on this, it flew really well. And I'll compare it up to a little brushed one I've got, and then I'll show you that sort of drop and sort of pull in area that I sort of call it. And also you get that on ducted fans as well, that can happen quite a lot. Just give it a quick roll just to see how we go. I don't tend to do them a lot in the garden, and I actually love this size for my garden. It's absolutely superb. It's small enough to get through every single little gap, and hopefully miss most of the trees as well, so it's really good. Totally impressed with it. I like it, and I'll do a lot more and run that while I'm actually running the summary.
Okay, so what did I think of it? Well, I loved it. It's awesome. Really good fun. Just around my garden, it was just excellent, I must admit. Loads of power. As far as I'm concerned, it sort of did everything pretty well. I didn't get the wobble and the dropout that I've had on other models. And I did actually have a go as well with the QAV 95S. I've done a full review on this. And this is a brushed motor sort of version of this. I suppose it's more or less exactly the same sort of size. The difference in flying is is a lot. There's a lot of difference in the power and everything of this one. And this one you have to keep the throttle up quite a bit when you're coming into sort of bank turns or any twists or anything. If not, you get a sort of wobble and a kick in. This I never got that at all. It's really smooth throughout, and it gets a shift on. Gee, it just wants to go. Once you get it in air mode, it was seriously good fun. I loved it. I've had several incidents with it. If you're familiar with the channel, you know my trees do jump out and grab it, and it was absolutely fine. And stabilised as well, angle mode, great fun as well. A little bit more precise. I don't think I would be using it indoors, to be perfectly honest, but I suppose some people could, but I'd just be I'd be worried about getting told off for those ornaments that got smashed. In the garden, if bits nip off trees, I can blame the deer coming through, but indoors it's a little bit difficult. The deers haven't got keys to get in, so that's a bit awkward. So all in all, I absolutely loved it. I haven't actually got any real negatives with it, though some people might see this next bit as being a slight negative. I was using these batteries, 450 milliamp hour, they're 3.8, so I just upped the voltage on it in Betaflight, because if not you just get beeps because it's overcharged as far as it's concerned. I haven't had any problems with anything getting warm or anything at all, so it can take the high voltage batteries no problem at all. And I was getting about 2 minutes, two and a bit minutes, something like that flight. It feels a lot longer when you're flying it, I must admit, but they do always come to an end a little bit too quick, I suppose. But I absolutely loved it. And having a look around the web and everything, loads of people are rating these ones, so I went and bought half a dozen of these, thinking wow, they got a lot more power. This one only has got a 30C draw. I think this one's 65 to 130C, so it should have a lot more kick out and everything. And to be honest, I flew loads and loads with this and this as well. I couldn't notice any difference at all through the FPV goggles and everything with the flight characteristics or anything. I didn't get any more punch out of bends or climbs or anything like that. Whether or not it's just beyond my ability to sense that, I don't know. But honestly, looking back through the footage, without knowing, and I marked which ones are which, but without knowing, I wouldn't honestly know the difference, to be honest. So I'm quite happy with these, and these are fine. But you also get a lot shorter flight times with these, because they're only 350, and whether or not it is drawing more, I don't know. But I was certainly getting way reduced flight times, over a minute or so, and I thought, yeah, I'm not overly impressed with those. Whether or not I got a duff patch, I don't know, but I've run 6 of them through it, so it should be okay. And you may have noticed, actually I've only just noticed, I usually put little cable ties across here just to hold the wires in, but it just shows how good it's been and no problems at all. The cable's quite loose on the out for the battery, so I just wrapped you can either wrap a cable tie round, or I wrapped an elastic band round, so that when this was held underneath, and I just plugged that in there. A couple of times when I had a bash and this came out, it doesn't strain on the cables going into the control board there. You don't want them really pulling, and that's nice and loose there, so I've never had any problems with that at all. And you may have noticed I've had two different connectors there. It actually comes with a lossy micro, and I know a lot of the guys will swap this out for a JST. I've wound up with so many different batteries with so many different connectors on. All I do is I just make up a little connector sort of cable that just changes it from one to the other, so I can use JST on it, lossy micros, or any of my other ones. I just make another little short cable, just the way I do it. I know it looks a bit messy and everything, but to be honest, it just means I stay in the air longer, and that's what I'm in the game for. So take a look at it, and also go and have a look at the review on that one, because there's a lot of difference in price, and see which one's more for you. Hope you've enjoyed the flight. Certainly enjoyed having you along, and guess what? I'm off to fly again.